sent you. All right, well, we'll have a few more people filter in, but we'll get back underway or you'll all be late to lunch, and that will make everybody sad, so we'd rather not do that. So, before I introduce our next guest, apparently the offer of prizes, training courses from Scout has really inspired everybody to smash the Twitters. And apparently we were trending #1 in Adelaide this morning. So I don't know if that's a streak. I think we have every year now. So that's good. Good job. We're still going through and picking out the best ones. So just keep working away at it, and we'll give away those free Scout courses at the end of the day. So our next guest is Paul McFarlane. Paul is the Chief Marketing Officer at GSM Electrical. And Paul is here today to explain how Trader has activated an aggressive digital marketing plan to grow the Trader brand, to communicate Trader's values, celebrate fun with Trader's customers, and explain Trader's product offer as a new and legitimate alternative as a new market entrant in a conservative industry. Now, one thing that we noticed the last couple of years of Social Media Day is just a lack of B2B content. So we've invited Paul along today to talk about very much a business-to-business environment and how understanding your audience can help you activate that marketing plan. So please welcome Paul.
Thanks, Ryan. Yeah, it's nice to be here today. Thanks for the invitation. This is a much different crowd than what I'm normally used to speaking to. So normally it's electricians, electrical contractors, apprentices, electrical wholesalers. 95% of the room is normally males. I think we've changed that balance significantly today. So my job is to, all of what Ryan just said, but also knowing your target audience is what I'm going to hone in on. I'm going to try and, the guys that you just heard from before morning tea from the States, lots of technical stuff, lots of learnings. We're going to try and bring it back to something really local here in South Australia, and a national business that we are, and just show what we've done in a short period of time to, from a business-to-business point of view, engage a digital strategy with our customer base, knowing our audience pretty well. What that little thing is there. So if you remember nothing else from today, that's our vision, and that's our 3 key words, or our DNA, if you like. So we make electrical switches and sockets and power points and things that electricians use in your house, sometimes front of wall, back of wall, but we want to be the Australian-owned provider of choice for a true quality alternative of electrical accessories to the trade in Australia. End of story. With a lot of multinationals, and I'll talk about who they are in a minute, around us that do things a bit differently with lots of rules and lots of rigidity. We want to come back into the game with words that resonate with our audience of passion, flexibility and partnership. Small business, we can be a lot more passionate, flexible and do things differently than multinational companies. So if you remember nothing else, that's what we stand for. So today is a bit of a gratuitous plug for what we do, but I'll bring it back to some of the key learnings for knowing your target audience. Working. Just press the button, mate. So, to give you a bit of history, my boss is Simon Gerard. He's 4th generation from the Gerard family. In this town, the Clipsal name is pretty well known. Right back to his great-grandfather, Alfred Gerard, in 1920 when the Clipsal brand was born. I won't bore you with all the detail of the history of the family other than this town, a big brand, and per capita that brand before the Gerard family sold that to Schneider Electric in 2003, probably the biggest brand per capita in any sector of the electrical world globally. So massive. So knowing our audience, we've known our audience as a family and a business and with that sort of tradition right back to the 1920s. Certainly when Clipsal became big in the 70s, 80s, 90s and early 2000s, that is all we've done, is talk to our customer, love our customer in those traditional sort of ways. Without going through all the detail, after 2003, the Gerard family couldn't compete in the electrical switches and sockets market. So we stayed out of that game once Schneider Electric bought them. But in 2015, March 2015, Simon Gerard came along to myself and 2 or 3 others and said, let's get back into it again, because the world was changing and we felt there was an opportunity to get back in. So right over here, you'll see that the trader name was born. No family involved, many other Roberts or sisters or brothers or aunties and family, straight back to Simon and a heap of key people. In 4.5 years, we've gone from 2 or 3 staff, we're nearly 60 staff, so we've had significant growth. That gives you a bit of a feel of the legacy of where I'm going to. Next slide, mate. So in terms of brand and position, there's been some dominant brands. The Clipsal brand I talked about, which we're all part of for a long time. Legrand, HBM, Hager, other brands, all global, whether they're Dutch, German, French. They've got lots of great product, no doubt about that. But then in this market, there's been a lot of a vacuum, if you like, of lots of, not deregulated, it's a very regulated market, but there's lots of infiltration of lots of non-regulated product. The market was crying out for someone to fight the bottom end of the channel and also provide some passion, flexibility and partnership with some of the big boys might have lost or had a few rules and did things differently since the good old days of Clipsal. So we've slotted right in the middle. That's our brand position. Next one. We are pretty wacky. So rather than have a white box with ABC 1, 2, 3 part numbers on it for electricians and look boring, an electrical distributor, wholesaler outlet, Robert Gerard back in the 1990s bought a game park in South Africa. Lucky enough to have been there a few times, and we said, well, when we activate it again, we're going to put our different ranges, and I won't go through product today, but we're going to put cats and animals around our products and jazz them up and give them all a bit of a personality. That'll flow onto some of the merchandise I'll show later. So we have got personality in our business, but we are business to business, so we're not B2C. So unlike a lot of what you hear today, business to consumer, we actually don't sell and transact to the audience I'll talk about. We sell to the distributor in between, but we create demand. On our journey in the 4.5 years, we've done a lot of stuff. And when I first started out, I didn't have a marketing team, it was me. And we had a couple of salespeople and we were into it. There's a person in this room that was with us on that journey early on, doing our social media and helping us, which was wonderful. But we got to a point where we could evolve. And I've actually got Cassie Zivkov. Put your hands up, Cassie. She's our digital and marketing media manager in our business. We now have a dedicated resource around digital, around our business. In a very mature Clipsal business that have been going for 80, 90, 100 years, you've dealt with everyone in the channel, right from the electrical wholesaler to electrical contractor to builders to consulting engineers, architects, developers, and they will do stuff on the block. They'll promote their products to the consumer. We're a startup company, so where do we start? Where do we put our effort to try and get that demand? Really, we're going to get stock on the shelf in the distributor, and we're then going to get the electrician pulling it out of that shop and putting it on a wall, putting it in people's homes or offices or buildings. So for the purpose of today, we're now built, the building blocks for us are really those green bits. So as a new market entrant, electrical wholesalers, where we actually transact. We sell a package of gear, different ranges of switches and sockets, weatherproof, etc., into a branch. Now you might not see these names as familiar, but you'll see an MM there, an L&H, a P&R, a Middies, a C&W. They're trade outlet type shops. They're like your Reese Plumbing in the plumbing industry. They're our electrical shops. They're usually in the back of suburbs. They're not in your retail outlets where you would typically see them. But that's where tradies go to get their gear. There's 1,200 trade outlets in Australia. We have to get on the shelf. We have to get the deal right. It's a haggle to get on the shelf and promise demand, sales out. If we sell it to them and no one pulls it out, they will send it back and we will go out of business. Hence the next patch of green being the key for us. If it was Paul McFarlane Electrical, not Simon Gerard and 100 years of tradition, we wouldn't even get through that first gate. So we've got the gate open at least. It's a very hard market to crack against the big players. So the wholesaler transacts with the electrical contractor, but we actually do our transaction with the distributor. So the MMs, the P&Rs, the Rexels. Today, I'll really focus on electrical contractors, electricians and the installer. Because if I sell it to the distributor and I can't pull it out, as I said, it'll go back. So who's our target audience? We've got about 15 to 20,000, give or take, depending on how many are actually operational electrical contractors around Australia. They've got an ABN and are registered electrical contractors or licensed electricians running a team. They're the people you'd ring to do work on your house. They're small businesses. They might be sole traders right through to companies that have got a couple of hundred sparkies. There are, give or take, depending on what stats you read, 65, 70,000 electricians in these businesses. Everyone from the 16, 17-year-old apprentice right through to the 70-year-old that's still hanging around the tools or hanging around the office, closing up his business or finishing up. So our big push, and I'll bring this back to digital, is we have to create support here with the electrician. So he goes into that distributor and pulls it out for us and gets that repeat sale. So it's a pull through the wholesaler, and the wholesaler serves our demand. They can block us. Might have different or better deals. We have to really get in bed with the electrician so that our destiny is achieved. And I won't talk too much about the other bits, but we have got started with some builder activity. We've won Fairmont Homes here in South Australia. And then we've got more to do with all those other channels. That will come in time. But today, it's that second bunch of green I'll talk about primarily. Next slide, mate. When we started out the business, we realised we are very, very, very conservative in the electrical game. So everything from, if you went to an event with Clipsal in 1995, there would have been a poster in the branch, there would have been a flyer on the counter. Bloke said, mate, I'll give you a ring, you can get along to this one. There was no such thing as Eventbrite, no such thing as Facebook, no such thing as any sort of digital comms, email, and so on. Some of our wholesaler partners and contractors still love seeing a poster. So we can't move away from the traditional, tactile, old school stuff. So everything from a printed catalogue, we will still do a printed catalogue for people's vans. Just like this one here, which is the Trade Bible, which would sit on the dashboard and guys would still thumb through it. But it's also available on the web now as a flip chart. You can download it, you can click through it. So when we looked at what we're going to do, it's a bit hard to read, but we wanted to get to a point where we started saying we want to get to some digital domination. And if our customers didn't want to change, we would help them change with us and teach them why it was good. So everything down the bottom is all your traditional stuff. Your events, your boards in branches, point of sale, sales promotions, all that printed stuff, which is more expensive. We'll still even mail out invites through Australia Post from time to time. But in the red stuff up the top, we wanted to get seriously active in all the different social media platforms. We wanted to get guys understanding the power of the iPad and the iPhone or devices, email marketing, YouTube, website, cutting videos, all sorts of stuff. Hence the appointment of Cassie and other people in our business. And it's a massive cultural shift to try and get guys there. But that's where we need to take the world, and we need to, if they're not going to come, we need to lead them and take us with them. Next slide. So what does our audience look like? As you can see, I said at the top of the program, that's our audience. That's just a few snips off our Facebook page of different events. So this is a great one here. Boys have got high vis on. That is who I normally talk to. They're a different breed. There's some really smart young electricians that aren't that tactile and don't want the poster and they live on their phone. But I'd only be guessing this bloke here, he loves his poster. I don't know that he's doing like so. So that's the challenge we've got. They're trade nights at the counter, bloke installing something over here. This is at the corporate box here in Adelaide. So a lot of that is up close and personal stuff. So no matter how much digital we do and how much we talk about today, understanding our audience is still very much about people and having personal relations with our human customers. So business to business for trader. So who is our primary target audience? You saw the photo. How do they roll? They're electrical contractors, they're electricians, they're installers. They're an interesting bunch, but they're pretty easy in the most part to define. Typical profiles are owners of contracting businesses. They're the decision makers, and they usually have electricians working for them. Electricians will often moonlight and do their own stuff, so they shouldn't be understated. They'll do stuff on weekends, so they still need to know about your gear. But generally, the business owner makes the call on whether he's going to change from Clipsal to Trader or HBM to Trader or use our gear in some shape or form. 95% are male. There are some females. Certainly in a lot of sole trading businesses, you'll find that the wife often does run all the books and works in the office. It's not uncommon, but a lot of these events we go to, it'll be the blokes that turn up. They're a tradie, so they're good on the tools. Chances are they got to year 10 or 11 at school and they were good at tech studies and didn't want to do year 12, went and got an apprenticeship, and all of a sudden were really good. They were really good with their hands, and all of a sudden they got a lot of work on. Oh, God, I better get 3 vans, and before they know it, they've got a business. A lot of them aren't great business people. The ones that are, and the ones that take the time to invest in themselves to be good business people do really well. Some don't realise that putting PowerPoints on and forgetting to invoice your customer doesn't bring the cash in. But there's good blokes out there. They are the salt of the earth for Australian businesses. The installation of their products right through to the invoicing and everything in between. As I said earlier, there's lots of one-man bands. There's companies with 200 sparkies, and they're bigger businesses. Some might even be on the stock exchange. Most are conservative. They do things the way their dad or their boss did, particularly when we had the market know when we were at Clipsal. It'd be like, I just use Clipsal because my dad did and my grandpa did, and that's what we use, and that's what, when I was an apprentice, that's what I was on, and I'm not changing. So Clipsal and others, it's a bit like the Canadian Club advert. I just drink beer because Trev drinks beer, and trying to change them, and all of a sudden you got that bloke saying, no, I'll give something else a go. So that's our challenge at the moment, breaking down a lot of the good work with that same target audience that Clipsal, HBM, Hager and others have to say, give us a go. And that's when flexibility, passion, partnership and some old school values come to the fore. So it's what they know. They know part numbers. We brainwashed them in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s on part numbers. You might call it a double PowerPoint. They'll give it an actual part number. They'd actually try and get them to call our part number versus the one they're using really tough. So we're trying to undo a lot of the good work of the past. They're reluctant to change because of that. No, it's been working fine. We're in the business of trying to get sales and trying to get support, change their brand preference. So we're going to try and make them change, and we're going to give them reasons to do that. Can be set in their ways, not so the younger generation. So the younger generation that kick around, the 25-year-old business owner, through to sort of mid to late 30s, 40 even, who never went to a Clipsal 500 or never went and got entertained when the good old days are on and there's only one player and there was no competition and life was good. They don't know the good old days. So our rep goes out and sees one of them, or they find us in a digital sense. We can get connected with them pretty cool. So not so the younger generation don't have the same expectations of the glory days. Traditionally, they've found their product information in a non-digital sense. I'll just go to my local P&R branch, he'll give me a catalogue, there'll be a brochure there. I might get on that website and see if I can find a tech data sheet. That will scare me, but I'll try and see if I can do that. Otherwise, I'll get the bloke to print it out for me. That's their mentality. I need a book for the van, as I said before. So most are not great at upselling either. There's lots of different ranges, right up to glass PowerPoints and automation packages you can get. People just keep doing the same stuff. They need help. They need tools. They need digital, but they actually don't know they need it or they're afraid of it. So traders got to start being their coach and take them on the journey of understanding that it's not all paper-based and there are ways to sell stuff and there are ways to do things in a digital sense, and I'll get to that. Often they operate from the van or a small office and they just go where the business is. You'll find a lot of Sparkies if you've got one of your own. If there is such a thing as the yellow pages anymore, they might have had an ad in there. Might be on a website or a search engine for Sparkies. They might have a phone number on their van. They have got no idea outside of that, most of them, in terms of marketing. The ones that are doing it are doing quite well, and the ones that are embracing digital are doing really well. Many are inefficient, so they don't buy their product. Oh, got to a job, got to go back and get something. So with a digital mindset, the world can improve for them if they get into a digital mindset in their business. And we can help them on that journey. Next one. Continue. So they look after their customers as we look after them. So they have builders and they have end users. So they're pretty good at doing all that sort of stuff. They rely on the strength of the economy big time. If a new home starts and the market's good and the economy's prosperous, it's good. You go to a lot of guys at the moment, particularly around Adelaide or parts of southern Queensland and even Victoria. A lot of them haven't got lots of work on. So that's a really good barometer to say that the economy's a bit soft in a few areas. So they need new home building going on. They need construction going on. As I said before, their basic business advertising strategy, many rely on word of mouth. Digital has a low or nil priority for them. the smaller traders, they've got a pretty lonely existence. They go from job to job to job. They don't really have the office to go to that some of us might have to, that sense of community. So trader, with that flexibility, passion, partnership, tries to create that sense of community. Who are their mates? Their industry mates are often their wholesaler, where they pick up the gear from, or they're us, or they're Clipsal or the Hager or whoever their suppliers are. That's how they stay connected. They love a beer and they love a relationship. It's a pretty basic profile, but a good profile. They love quality product. So no matter what we say about digital today and passion, flexibility, partnership and our history and all that, if our product's no good and we don't warranty it, and they've got to go back to a job and fix it, no good for electrician. Just so you know how electrician makes money, they buy materials from that wholesaler, which we create the demand with, and they mark up the material purchases and their labour. So that's essentially, when you get a bill from an electrician, that's how they make their money. Unlike other markets like the UK and America and other parts of the world, we're a regulated market. Putting in a PowerPoint's dangerous, so they've got a certain skill set, so Australians use electricians. You go and get an electrician, a certificate of compliance is issued, because your house burns down, your insurance company will fix it then if there's a proper work behind it, and they get the backing of the wholesaler and the supplier. So after saying all of that, so what now? You know their profile, you know who they are. It's a pretty defined set of people. They all have a mobile phone. You all see electricians have all got mobile phones. The connected device of today, they're all using it. They're probably scratching the surface of the actual ability of that phone or that device, but they all have one. And that device is the tool for digital change. So I'll talk about how that relates in a minute. So everything they once got traditionally, be it an invite in Australia Post or other things, they can now either create or get digitally from suppliers, not just trader, other people, other suppliers, other parts of the industry. So the world of information exchange is changing, and we're here to try and deliver them digital tools, even if reluctant, try and take them on that journey, okay? Next one. So they have that mobile phone. So this device is a tool for digital change. As I said, everything they once got traditionally, they can now get digitally or create digitally. So their phone, what they think is just, pick it up, Mrs. Jones needs another PowerPoint in the kitchen, can actually be so much more for them and for us with them. And I could spend lots of time on each of these aspects from an e-commerce point of view, trade pricing point of view, things that they can do on their phone or a tablet device. But they can use it as a CRM, them and us. Certainly we can send campaigns to their inbox, etc. on email. Receiving EDMs, receiving monthly newsletters with buttons inside the newsletter that takes them off to a certain product page or something on our website we'd like them to know about. E-commerce, ordering, the app, whether you order through our app, and I'll show that in a minute, and wholesalers actually transact online, but guys still like to go in the branch and pick gear up. They don't actually know that they can probably do most of their orders through their favourite wholesaler with their discount and pricing structure set from the comfort of their office. They still don't do it, so we've got to drive them there. Invoicing, finding stuff on a website. Catalogues, like I showed you before, all online, all in flip charts, all available electronically. Downloadable, so they can send off to a customer. They don't have to drive to the other side of town to drop something off. A lot of their customers, end users, will be fine with something that's downloadable or emailable or sendable. Video. They love video. They're lazy, so they like to be able to watch a video that tells them about the features and benefits of an upcoming product. Product launches, product images, something they can send to their customer. You don't print something out. You don't fax something. Get it as a nice image and you can send it to the contractor who may be able to send it to his builder or vice versa. Technical data sheets. They want to know technical. They've got a real appetite for features and benefits, all on the website. They can go up to our packaging in an electrical wholesaler and put their phone on a QR code. It'll tell them everything about that particular product. They don't even have to go to the website. That product will tell them exactly about that product. Pricing, warranty certificates. We've got a trader spec tool which can be done on an iPad, which can actually be a design tool to come into your lounge room and actually design plans, particularly if you're doing a renovation or a new build. Staying in touch, social media, we'll get to some of this shortly, but there are many industry sites, some really good ones, some other bad ones that are a bit crass and a bit not PC, if you like, but there's lots of electrical industry sites out there which guys are getting into and starting to get information from. Sales and marketing tools. I'll show you shortly. They can do their own marketing from their device, but we can be their marketing support, and I'll show you some examples. We like this event today. We've got events running at the moment. We had a Renmark event this week. We had one in Mildura a couple of nights ago and Broken Hill last night. Where Simon Gerard and our rep Alex went up there. We got 60 or 70 people at Mildura on Wednesday night. I would say 20 of them went through and actually RSVP'd through Eventbrite and didn't have to wait till Cassandra in my office rang them and said, "You come, mate," and we have to do all that sort of high cost, high labour type activity. So we are changing them slowly. So being able to RSVP to an event. Promotions, Power Mesh, I'll explain a bit later. And there's just so much more. So you can see from the traditional stuff in the bottom of that wheel I showed you earlier, there's a lot of basic stuff, but there's so much stuff now we can do back to their device, phone or tablet, to get digital with them. And we've got to take them there. Next one. Not sure why that first one didn't come up, but here's just some examples. So you picture an electrical contracting business in your suburb, a little office. He's got someone in the office looking after the accounts, and he's out on the road doing the installs. They don't have any marketing machine behind them. If they were to get on to one of the programs and try and design something up that they could put on as a Facebook tile to their customers, it would look awful, right? So one of the things that's going to take a huge amount of resource from us in the next period of time, but a service we're prepared to provide is, let's say it's Hankins Electrical. Hankins want to start selling and promoting our double PowerPoint with the USB in the middle of it. Hankins don't do marketing. They don't go into Photoshop, and they don't certainly do InDesign. They need someone to give them the tile so they can whack it up on their Facebook page to size and send it out saying, "Call me, I can do this for you." That barely scratches the surface. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different tiles we've done for different electricians. All they've got to do is send us their logo, and then we will do that for them. And then on the end of there, they might have 200 followers on their local Facebook or Instagram page. They then look like a superstar. It looks like they've got good marketing. We're effectively doing it for them, knowing that they can't do it for themselves, but at least they're trying. They've got a feed and they're looking for content, and we're happy to help that content with product and pictures, features and benefits to try and help pull that sale, not through them, right through to the end user, get it on the wall, okay? That will really garner huge amounts of loyalty, and we do that in pretty quick time. So it doesn't have to go through too many people in our business to make that happen. Contractor rings us, we're straight onto it because we're partnering with them. Next one. So there are many ways to get connected with Trader, some more mature than others. Facebook and Instagram for us is pretty cool, and we're going really, really well. Lots of videos going up on YouTube, and we've also got an app which I'll talk about shortly. So we've got lots of mechanisms to get digital and get connected with all of our customers, the ones that are already there and the ones that really haven't delved into this area. And we're doing it with the word FOMO. So the fear of missing out. So when we do a branch promotion with a heap of contractors at a local L&H branch, and the branch next door doesn't do it, and we put the story up on our Facebook feed, it creates an instant, I suppose, effect to the branch next door that, oh, geez, I'm missing out. That contractor shops with both me and that wholesaler. I better get on board and start promoting the stories of Trader. We do it in real time, and we do it really quickly. Next one. We also have an app. So company in South Australia here, Pixel Force, we partner with, and we developed an app which is really trying to create a community. We call it the Wolf Pack. Again, that animal, silly, fun, quirky sort of theme. But it's to try and get into the hearts and minds and wallets of these electricians by when something comes out or it's new or there's an event on, that we can push notifications out to them, alert them of new products, run promotions. Click on the next page, Ryan, and there's also a picture of a paw. So our mission is to get on the front page of their phone, create a community called the Wolf Pack. As I said, it's sort of like a members first area. There's no real qualification other than to say, we want you to hear what we're doing with you and for you together because you're interested in us. We're nearly 4,000 sign-ups to the app. And then it does take the destiny out of the wholesalers' hands to say, oh, we put that stock package in the other day and no one's bought it yet. It's like we want to talk to these guys to create that pull-through. So again, a bit of a paw print there. This is where I'm more than happy to lose your attention for a couple of minutes. It is by no means perfect. 4.5 years, brought a person on into our business to look after it, had other people in an agency looking after us in the early days. We are just trying to get up close and personal, particularly in Facebook and Instagram, and be really present. So you're welcome to go onto Facebook and Instagram now. If you want to grab your phones, have a bit of a look. If you want to sign up, look and follow. We're open to any ideas, ways we can do it better. We are by no means perfect. But that sort of will give you the flavour. If you follow and look at it for a week or 2 weeks, choose to unfollow it, don't mind. But that helps articulate how we're trying to create this sense of community, drawn back to 3 words: passion, flexibility, and partnership. And every time we write a story or put content or product or things up there, it gets drawn back to that vision and that mission, okay? So in the middle of that section there, it says content, content, content. See, so many times wholesalers and contractors, I want to get my Facebook page up and running, and they just can't maintain the rage. They can't maintain the content, and they can't mix up the content, and they can't make it interesting for long enough. It's a big effort, and I'm sure Cassie would agree. We mix it up, and we don't just do it ourselves out of here at head office at Rose Park here in Adelaide. It's an all-of-business approach. The only way I can get smiling faces of electrical contractors in Townsville is have Terry, my rep up there, say, Paul, I just took a photo of these guys shaking hands in front of the van. He just signed up to the app. He just got a jacket through the promo, and he's using our Puma range now. It's Terry, send us the photo. Tell us who he is. Tell us which wholesaler he buys from, and tell us why he's a ripper. Tell us why he's a good bloke. And the bloke in Cairns, 100 k's down the road, says, oh, he's on board, is he? All of a sudden, it creates that groundswell. So I need all the reps and everyone in the field, everyone in the business to embrace, if we're going to get digital, it's a culture right across the business we have to get going. So running stories from everywhere. So go back to that FOMO, that fear of missing out. So I made that comment before. When you are running a story, when are you running a story in my branch with my trader users? It's beautiful, because you do it next door knowing that he hasn't put any stock in yet, and you're going to get the phone call and you'll have to put some stock in because they share the account. Because most electrical contractors, as I said, on the profile of the electrical contractor has 2 or 3 wholesalers he shares his credit with, if you like, and where he buys his gear. So we play them off a bit. So if you look at the activities of what our main 2 platforms and all of our social media, it's just all about, it's like our daily digital newsletter. What's happening and where. And sometimes it's actually about the perception that we're doing more than we actually are. So we could be in Parramatta 1 week in Sydney, we could be in Bankstown, and then we could be on the North Shore, or we could be here. We might not have that much business in some of those suburbs. We're trying to create the perception that we're Eddie everywhere, okay? And it works. We love celebrating people and customers in real time. Our multinational friends that run these types of pages, they have big marketing departments with 4 layers of approval. By the time that story's hit the deck and the barbecue happened and you won over all these customers, it's now 28th of August. Oh, it's old news, you can't run that. We run it the next day. So if you got on our Facebook feed now, you would see all of our story from Mildura 24 hours ago with smiling faces and the trade night we had. Promoting products. You've got to tell them, you've got to tell them again, you've got to try and find different ways to tell them. Contractors love to know features and benefits. So things in this room that aren't that important, they love to know that there's a certain gasket on something, or there's a certain knuckle that does this, and the screws are 4 mil longer than our competitors. They're all weird stuff, but it's stuff that's important to installers. We love celebrating conversions and guys that have moved from another brand, and we aggravate a bit, we have a bit of fun with that. We have our competition chasing our Facebook feed, trying to work out where we're going to be next, which is all good stuff. We promote our stockists. So despite the fact we have to create the demand with the electrician, we should always thank the one we transact with and take pictures of what they're doing in their branch to create demand for our product, if they're actively pushing our product with us. And helps activate the branch next door that might not be doing something. Promotion, sales tools, videos, information, all easy stuff to digest. People partnership, always saying thank you to our supporters, and it's a great way to do it through a social media platform. We're a bit speedy, we're cheeky, we've got a bit of personality, there's fun, it's up close and it's personal. it's a lot of stuff that the bigger companies can't do in the speed and the way we tend to do things. So it all gets drawn back to those three words. Just a quick slide on this. I won't spend too much time on it. Salespeople versus digital. We need salespeople everywhere. We're a human business still. But the digital side of our business, all of what I just talked about on the previous page, creates like a virtual rep. Something's happening, and the amount of inquiries that Cassie will get saying, I've seen all your stuff on Facebook, started following a month ago, any chance your rep could come out and see me? Absolutely. So we're getting leads from the field from people that aren't even on our database, we don't really know them. So it's definitely virtually repping them. It still requires investment, putting people like Cassie on and actually making the need to actually spend money in this area, but it's not having to have a car, a salary, on cost, look after a certain region, the tyranny of distance, in a car in Metro Sydney, waiting at the lights all day. Reps put their own message on product releases. We try and get them straight down the line on what they should say and what the benefits are, but they sort of tend to put their own flavour on it. In a written digital form, straight off to the website, it is cut and dried as to what that product will do and how it will do it. So there's no different flavours put to it. And sometimes with reps, other than getting sales, there's a lack of discipline. We can measure through social media forums how many we're getting each week, how many inquiries we're getting, how much traffic it's all creating. So digital effort finds customers without sometimes finding them. It can activate their support without humans in such a large potential available market. We've only got 15 or 16 salespeople running around. And we don't even know all the supporters that currently use our gear, because with some of them we've found through a digital sense. But we recognise that the traditional sales model is still there too, and both complement each other, and we need both. So digital, although virtual, still requires investment, and we employ Cassie to do just that. And even today, not to put ourselves up in lights, but to celebrate another angle and another story about Trader talking about how we do things. We'll do a story on Digital Adelaide today on Facebook about we were here talking about our business. I'm sure some of our contractors say, that's cool. What are you guys doing in digital that can you help my business? So it'll create that tsunami of interest. Next one. A few little marketing statements we run by. Some of these are ripped off from other people, but it just keeps our reps focused on why we exist and how we can live up to our values. So everything you see in our digital stuff is very much the brand that we are building, and that's what the digital stuff is building, awareness in our brand as passionate, flexible partners, and the alternative in the trade is that set of expectations, memories, stories, and relationships that when we take all that into account for a customer's decision to choose our product or service over someone else's. And that Gerard 100 years gives us a leg up with that. They don't just buy our goods and services. Our PowerPoints in many cases do the same as what Clipsals do. It's how they feel about our brand. So they buy relations, they buy stories and magic. Marketing is no longer about the stuff that you make, but the stories you tell with your customer. And digital is a cool way of doing that, celebrating successes. So the trade of digital marketing is all about the stories we create and stories we share, the effort we deliver, and our evidence of passion, flexibility, and partnership with our customers rises up and will make us the number one digital communicator in our sector. All right? The sector generally has been really boring, slow on the uptake. So already in 4.5 years, across most of what we do, we'd be leading. But we have noticed in the last 12 months that wholesalers, contractors, other suppliers have lifted their profile, probably because of what we've done, which is a good thing. It actually is taking everyone into that space. We've just got to win the race. So I talked about earlier, this was something Amelia was going to do a podcast with me this morning, but she's struggling with her voice. So the communication that connects was something I was going to throw into it. It's got nothing to do with digital, but it's a bit fun, right? So we know that contractors like to drink a beer with us. They're tradies. We know we've got the animals, the cats. So we came out with stubby holders that have got fluffy fur on them, right? We came out with a green one to start with, which was the Cougar range and sort of the brand one, if you like. And then everyone's saying you should do different colours. You should do the Puma one, the flat cat, the leopard, the snow leopard. And it just went crazy. That is the cheapest sort of marketing we can get. We land them pretty cheap, put them in a 6-pack. And why? Because they're fun, they're weird, they're memorable, they build our brand, and they just differentiate us, okay? They're cheap, they're it does suit our target audience. You'll find that contractors get a little pack of these. They're probably worth $12 or $14 landed, but he's made the decision to move over to the trader switches and sockets. They'll live in his boat, his caravan, his shack. They'll sit on the front of his van. They'll go around with him and they'll keep us on the shopping list. They're pretty sought after, and we've got limited amounts of different colours. So it's not, although it's not little shops like Coles, we're not that big, it's our little version of doing something a bit quirky and giving something away. And they all chase it to try and get the set, right? Puts us front and centre in their purchasing thoughts. It just keeps us on the shopping list. It does make us look a bit different and a bit weirder than the rest. Because at the end of the day, we are primarily selling switches and sockets, electrical accessories, of which other competitors have got. So we've got to be different. Next one. This is where I'll start to wind up, but this is where we talk about digital on the phone, and I could do 2 hours on this, and I'd need Google and everything hooked up. I can't help myself but put a plug in. Got power points and switches down there that are mechanical power points and switches you've all got in your own house. Some of you might be lucky enough to have C-bus and colour touch screens. You might have built a new house and spent 20 grand on automation. Good luck to you if you could afford that. But the world has changed dramatically from that colour touch screen, and the phone is driving a lot of that. So we've brought out products. There's no product in this one, but it's a PowerPoint the electrician can put straight on the wall. It's got a Bluetooth brain in the back of it. And with light switches and dimmers and fan controllers and all sorts, you can create a mesh, a Bluetooth mesh. You can pair that with your phone, so it is a digital application here for connected spaces. You can still actually touch that PowerPoint as you're coming home. Want to touch it like a normal switch or a dolly. You can commission it and you can play with it. You can sit on the couch, you can open and shut lights and do all sorts of things. If you put a little hub with it, you can take it off to the internet and you can control your switches and PowerPoints from the other side of the world because you're off to the internet. So, but then the real cool thing is when you're in the house, you can commission this so that it actually has the talk function. It talks to Google or Amazon Alexa. So you can actually say, hey, Google, turn my lights off and turn the bathroom heater rail towel on for 15 minutes from now. There's a whole range of commands that can be done. We're working really closely with Google here in Australia, and we're the only ones that are formally allowed to use that logo with the Trader brand in the same comms. And this is really starting to storm the market. So from a digital point of view, using your phone, a lot of contractors don't do that sort of work on the wall because it's too hard and they've got to do lots of training. You can install a PowerPoint, you can install our new power mesh system. There would be 10 double PowerPoints in there, and that is really simple, really affordable. Not home automation, just lifestyle benefits that you can activate. Show anyone that's under 10 that you can talk to a light switch or a PowerPoint, and they'll see that as commonplace. Like, it'll be like saying to them, you used to be able to wind up windows in the back of your car or do a telephone like this. They expect that in the next 10 to 12, 15 years that everything will be connected through voice or the Internet of Things. Next one. So as I said, you've got your Cloud Connect, you've got your phone, Talk Digital. This is more product now. Electricians can use their phone to start pairing devices and provide new solutions for the new home market and the retrofit market. And get PowerPoints and light switches and fan controllers to be spoken to with voice commands. Next one. So when we go to market, passion, flexibility, partnership. We are trying to undo the work, particularly for all of us that came across from Clipsal to come and work for the Gerard family again, is to change your spots and break their habits. So that's another one of our catch cries. A lot of guys will say, Clipsal's not like they used to be, or Hager's not like they used to be. But trying to get guys to change because they're conservative is hard. We've really got to try and activate that, provide those digital marketing tools, provide some points of difference for them to come on a journey with us. Next one. So we're nearly there. So what now? The journey for us is long, and we've really, to be honest, we've really only just started. So today, Cassie came this morning, has listened into the speakers before lunch, and we'll listen into the ones after lunch. We're learning every day. We don't come here today saying we've got all the answers, but we are having a crack. And we have 100 years of DNA and traditional know-how from the Gerard family. That's all wonderful, but really all it does is open the door to try and have a conversation with a contractor to bring that business across. The race is quick and we need to lead it. thankfully, as I said earlier, our industry has been really slow on the uptake. So what we've done in a short amount of time is better than most that have been around for a fair while. We have to always be learning, trying new things, watching others so we stay ahead. And this does mean thinking, planning, executing, and being totally committed to a digital strategy. Like that big wheel I put up earlier. It's not just a textbook, academic, oh, we'll look at that in the marketing, that's cool. You've got to live it. You've got to believe in it, and you've got to live it and put plans in place against it. And if it means changing our customers, even if they don't know they have to change or feel they don't want to change, we're going to take them on that journey. One thing's for sure, the world is changing around them, so why not be ahead or at least on point for them and show that digital leadership? They really do need it, they just don't know, we have to educate them. So it's early days, but we are digitally dominating best we can our sector for now, but there's so much more to do. Thank you. Any questions?
We'll see Andrea's up the back with the mic. Thought it was really interesting, Paul, that Twitter's talking about the fact that knowing your audience sometimes means maybe you need to do things that aren't on the internet, which seems like a weird insight for a digital event.
Yeah, it's really weird. We could go, some suppliers are going all digital. One, because it's cheaper, but two, because they're just trying to take them all there in a hurry. But you've got to understand that your customer might be 62 years of age, he's only ever had a book on the front of his dashboard of his van. Oh, I don't know how to turn the web on. Oh, I'm not going to do that. I can't go to a portal. If you haven't got a tactile method for me, I'll have to look elsewhere. So what that looks like in 10 years, who knows? That 62-year-old guy will have retired and the young guy comes through, right? But in that interim, you've got to be ready for both audiences. And in some cases, there's a bit of a coming back to some tactile items. Like it's not all good and well to say, let's put all of our catalogues online. And let's show a consumer by sending him a PDF and flick it open on a computer. If you're building a house and you wanted to see our glass-looking switches and sockets, there's something to be said for a coffee table type book still. Now, you don't print them like crazy, you don't print 100,000, you might print 20,000 and make sure that builders and sparkies have got a few in their van for those who want to leave it on the coffee table or the end of the kitchen bench and make some selections. Because in here, when we show our glass range, we spot gloss it and we spot print it so that it's as close to looking as glass on paper as possible. You can't get that on a computer screen, right? So, to answer to your question, there'll always be a blend for us of printed, traditional resources plus the digital stuff.
I think it was a question down here. Andrea, did you bring running shoes? Yes? Good. While we're doing that, I think it was interesting too that your persona was really deeply defined because you've had, hundreds of years of experience in this area. Yep. Sorry. But how are you keeping on top of changing demographics in that marketplace as, we know that governments are pushing initiatives to try and make these kind of trade-based businesses less male-dominated. How do you monitor that change?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. There's some really. I was in Geelong only about a month ago, and there was a lady who runs a electrical contracting business, runs a good business, 30-odd guys working for her. She loves this power mesh stuff. One, fairly young and open-minded to change, and she's on all the social media platforms, but she's a rarity. But we're going to do a testimonial and a case study around her own house. She's going to buy it and put it in. We're not going to gift it to her. She's going to use it and get her electricians to start up selling it in the field. So female electricians in our industry are a bit like male nurses. They pop up, they're different, and they're prepared to do things a bit less conventionally compared to the males. Whether we can't really solve it as a supplier, there'll be more come through in time. It's not unlike the AFL football and all that sort of stuff where women play. More girls are in the trade now, which is good. But gee whiz, I got a lot of events. I went to one in Brisbane the other week, and there was 88 guys there and two females in one room. So we're coming from a long way back.
So the question over here.
Yeah, hello. I'm just wondering what the penetration rate is for Sparkies in Facebook. How many have actually got a Facebook page now?
Oh, that's a good question. I probably should know the answer to that. I don't know if Cassie can help me out. Some of them have got them, and they often start them. And you think, oh, good. I remember him starting it in October 2018. He rang us and said he'd like a couple of tiles. And then you go and have a look at it today, and he did 4 stories, and he didn't do his last one since 25th of January. So they get ahead of steam up, but they don't know how to do the content. Unless they're out there with their phone, proudly taking pictures of jobs and finishing off work and celebrating their end users and their builders. Some do it really well. A lot just don't even have a profile. Don't even know how to open it. They're scared of, I'm in the admin page. Am I in the admin page where I can do the post? Am I in the page where I can just see it? Surprisingly, for all their technical skills on putting stuff on the wall and doing stuff that scares all the rest of us, some are really poor at all that sort of stuff. A real low skill set. So I don't know the number, but there are plenty out there trying. No worries. Thanks for your time. Thank you.